Well, plenty of stocks moving around from the broader market, so the Nifty is as flat as can be. So let's get straight to our movers and shakers segment. And let's start off with the biggest gainer on the Nifty. That's Indiabulls Housing Finance. Lata's with us. She's going to take us through the details that came over the weekend with regard to the press release that they've put on the exchanges. Lata?
Well, they have been making regular disclosures to investors, and this one is to the exchange. And I think it's extremely positive. They've given their ALM position, that is, they've prepaid some of their commercial paper. As well, they're getting money both from people who have borrowed from them and, other net mutual fund and other liquid investments they have. And I would just want you to go through the month-by-month numbers. If you pick up for the month of for the month of December, they are net cash positive by about 8,000 crores or thereabouts. The table will come up for you. And then you have, there you have the entire Q4, that is Jan, Feb, March, where they are positive by 8,700. December, look at the positivity. Look at the amount of cash they have, 16,000. So no question of a default is the point they're making. And then as you go into Q1, FY20, Q2, Q3, Q4, again, it's almost averaging about 7,000 crores of net positive cash. And they've in fact given us FY21, FY22 numbers as well, right up to 5 years, and a cash positive all through. So that's the point they're trying to make, that the way in which their maturities are ranged, they should not have a cash shortfall for at least the foreseeable future, which means they've taken up all the debentures that they will have to prepay, and the borrowings that will be returned to them should not have a problem of being able to meet any redemption whatsoever. That's the comment they're making.
Okay, thanks a lot for that, Lata. But the stock of the day on the downside undoubtedly has to be Sun Pharma. The shares have taken a big beating after a whistleblower emailed SEBI claiming that Sun Pharma's promoters Dilip Shanghvi and his brother-in-law Sudhir Walia have engaged in financial irregularities. Archana, our colleague, is here to tell us more about that. Archana, over to you.
Reports suggest that SEBI is likely to reopen an insider trading case against Sun Pharma and probe some of the alleged lapses by some of its promoters and other entities in raising certain foreign currency convertible bonds. Remember in August 2017, Dilip Shanghvi, Sun Pharma and 9 other entities had settled an insider trading probe, reportedly in response to a Ranbaxy deal, and they had paid settlement charges of 18 lakh rupees. Well, currently the whistleblower has approached SEBI with reports and documents that alleges irregularities. It's highlighting inadequate disclosures about companies' links with banned traders like Ketan Parikh and Dharmesh Doshi. It speaks about related party transactions and role of promoter Dilip Shanghvi's brother-in-law Sudhir Walia, who's also a director in Sun Pharma. The documents also talk about Mr. Walia's independent financial operations, Fortune Financial and Investment Trust of India. It talks about opaque FCCBs. It talks about booking notional losses to save on tax payments. So a lot of financial irregularities have been highlighted. Recently, a foreign brokerage report had also highlighted similar governance lapses. And the stock had taken a beating that time. And some of the other brokerages had also gone ahead and looked into the annual reports to detail some of the related party transactions that had seen unprecedented increase in just a financial year. So certainly a lot of questions being raised as far as corporate governance and disclosures are concerned. The stock, like you said, has already taken a beating, but especially from the foreign institutional investors' side, there is a lot of stress on the stock.
Okay, all right, Archana, thanks so much for that. Do remember, we'll be watching out for updates from the management when they address investors on the company conference call at 6:30 p.m. later this evening. Well, the other stock that's struggling today is Shankara Bilpro. That is lower in trade. In fact, it's down close to around 10%. Now, in a conference call on Friday, the management said that the company's FY19 retail business EBITDA margins will be between 6 to around 8%. They also said there'll be a 400 to around 500 basis points contraction in the retail business margins. Let's listen in.
Two things that we have been working on in terms of pricing as well as in terms of a balance sheet. There are certain imponderables in that sense out there, but I think it is important for investors to have some anchor points in terms of where the margins can settle. It is in that context that we have given out these kind of margin guidance. These are EBITDA margins. These are segment level EBITDA margins that we are talking about. Company level, we should assume an overall EBITDA margin of around 4.5-5%.
Okay, so they cut their retail margin guidance. That's Shankara Build Pro for you, under a lot of pressure lately. But let's talk about some of these power stocks, because the Gujarat government has directed its DISCOM to raise tariffs immediately. What will the impact be? Anisha is here to decode that for us. Anisha?
Oh, well, yes, Sonia, it looks like it has had a rub-off impact on the entire power sector, because the lenders like PFC, REC, or the other power companies like Reliance Power or Suzlon Energy, they're all trading higher. Now, separately, as you mentioned, there is news regarding Adani Power and Tata Power, and that is favorable as the Gujarat government has asked the DISCOM to increase the tariff rates for these PPAs and amend these PPAs. Remember, this has been done with immediate effect, and this is important because the Supreme Court had referred the matter back to CERC, and now Gujarat government is saying to its DISCOM that to increase the tariff right now. We will go and discuss the matter with CERC later. Now, the hint is that they have got the approval from all the state cabinets. This would mean a lot to both the companies, because remember, it was the Mundra power plant almost has a loss of 1,000 crores when it comes to Tata Power, and the under recoveries for Adani Power are also high. Tata Power has actually welcomed this move that the government has accepted the high powered committee recommendations. They say that despite this move, the losses will continue, but nonetheless, this will go a long way to help meet the company's debt obligations. They say that they are hopeful that they'll get the consent of all these states involved. So overall, positive news coming in for both these companies, because remember, they have been struggling with huge losses and debt on account of the Mundra power plants. Back to you guys.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much for that, Anisha. That stock's holding well in the green, but the stock that's really been running along for the last couple of trading sessions is Reliance Communications. In Friday's trading session, it was up nearly around 10%, and today it's followed that up with a 15% run. Kritika joins us to run us through some further details. We believe, Kritika, that they have furnished around a 1,400 crore corporate guarantee to DOT.
Absolutely, guys. So remember, a quick background before I tell you what's happened today. The Supreme Court had cleared Arcom and Reliance Jio's deal, which is basically for the trading of their spectrum, that is the Spectrum Airways. Now, this case had been going on in the court for the last 6 months. DOT had objected against it, but now it's been cleared. But at that point, which is last week, DOT has said that a corporate guarantee of 1,400 crore is necessary within the next 2 days. So we understand from our sources that on Friday, the corporate guarantee was given. Now, just to clarify over here, Reliance Realty has given the corporate guarantee, but given the fact that it's a part of Reliance Communications, a subsidiary of it, it can come under the corporate guarantor list. So we understand that that documentation has gone through. The DOT has received the same, and within this week, the approval is likely. So once that approval comes in, that's when Reliance Communications can go ahead and start paying off its lenders. At this point in time, the debt is at 42,000 crore rupees, and it will come down significantly by up to about 60% based on our last calculation post the spectrum trading deal with Reliance Jio.
Okay, Kritika, thanks a lot for giving us that update. That's Relcom up about 15.5%. But remember, it's a penny stock, so the base is pretty low, on the back of which it's rallied about 15%. But here's a list of the top buzzing stocks. We have Indiabulls Housing Finance, Sun Pharma, Shankara Buildcon, Tata Power and Reliance Communications that are on our radar. Let's take a short break on that note. But up next, the auto sales for the month of November have been weak. Mayur Milak of India Nivesh Securities will join in to discuss that. He'll also talk to us about the big ATF price cut that we saw in the month of December.